Hey guys, it's me, Freddy Pop Collector, and as we all know, FNAF is a very mysterious franchise. It's all run by one person named Scott Cawthon, and he's a very mysterious person in general. With all of that mystery, especially in the earlier years, there's a lot of things about the game's history that a lot of people don't know. So in today's video, I thought I'd count down 25 useless FNAF facts that not a lot of people know. None of these are really important or will enlighten you in any way about the FNAF story. It's just kind of, hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Before we get into the actual list, though, I wanted to thank you guys so much for 6,000 subscribers. I'm growing so fast, and I'm really thankful for it. Thank you guys so much. I'll have some more to say about the giveaway and stuff at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But now, let's move on to the top 25. One thing I should mention is that this list really isn't in any order, it's just kind of listing facts, and the first one I'm going to list off is that Funtime Freddy was originally going to be German. Funtime Freddy was originally going to have a German voice, which is very strange to think about.
Hello, little children. Glad to see you back again.
But yeah, it was cut, and I'm kind of glad it was. I love his current voice so much, and I'm glad his voice was changed. Sister Location took a long time to develop, and there's a lot of really neat Easter eggs that a lot of people overlook, one of these being Minarina in the popcorn. This one is one of the rarest FNAF Easter eggs of all time, only a few people have seen it, and it's definitely one of my favorites. This is something a lot of people don't know. Freddy Fazbear was originally going to have a voice in Ultimate Custom Night. There was a job listing posted, but that was the last we heard of it. We never heard of the voice again. For some reason, it was either cut or scrapped. Whatever happened to it, I'm kind of glad that we did get a voice, though, eventually in VR and in AR, so, it's not really that sad anymore. Fnaf 3, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated FNAF games, and there's a lot of really neat Easter eggs in this one. I'm not going to be talking about the Easter egg right now, but what I am going to talk about is the year Fnaf 3 takes place. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually pinpoint the exact year Fnaf 3 takes place if you take the Fnaf1 paycheck, which was $120, and you put it for the minimum wage in 1993, that's the exact minimum wage, and add 30 years, which was when Fnaf 3 takes place, and you get 2023. Again, not really important, it's just a useless fact that no one really needs to know, but, yeah. Something really interesting is that Scott confirmed that Freddy and Bonnie both took only 1 day to model. That's actually really impressive because to this day, their models still look really good. He never said how long Chica and Foxy took, but we can assume they probably took at most 2 days each. One of the most interesting things about Ultimate Custom Night was how much personality it gave to previous characters. Characters like Withered Bonnie, Toy Freddy, and Withered Chica, who didn't previously have a voice, were given one, and it made them stand out a lot more. Scott was actually working on these voices all the way up to Ultimate Custom Night's release, with Jacko, Chica, and Music Man's being the last 2 programmed in, just a few days before the game launched. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said these facts are useless, but hey, they're nice to know. In FNAF, Kellen Goff, who voices Funtime Freddy, is most well known by that voice, but he also voices another character being Fredbear. Fredbear is the only character of the 7 extra ones added that has a voice, and he was voiced by Kellen Goff, which I think sounds really good. It's very muffly and hard to understand, but if you edit around with the voice a little bit, you'll understand what it says eventually. One of the hardest Easter eggs to get in FNAF 3 is when Shadow Freddy spawns in the corner of your office in FNAF 3. A lot of people don't know if this is Shadow Freddy or Golden Freddy, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Shadow Freddy. Tell me what you all think in the comments. I can honestly see it being either. I'm just gonna say it's Shadow Freddy. Another really unique Sister Location Easter egg, the only one that I've gotten, is when Biddy Bad goes down on the elevator with you down to the Sister Location workplace. Circus Baby and Rental, sorry I forgot, but yeah, he can appear in the window when you go down. It's pretty creepy, and it's the only one that I've gotten. I actually got it on my first playthrough through the game, so that was pretty scary. That's the only one I've ever seen, and I probably won't see any of them ever again. Two FNAF games that don't really seem to be related in any way is FNAF AR and Ultimate Custom Night. Believe it or not though, there is one thing very mysterious that connects these two games. Nightmare's voice lines from Ultimate Custom Night and Springtrap's voices from FNAF AR are almost actually identical.
You will not be spared. You will not be saved. You will not be spared. You will not be saved.
It's very strange, and I don't know why this is the case, but I guess we'll never know. Maybe we'll leave it up to MatPat or someone to figure out, but it's definitely worth calling out. I've mentioned this a few times on the channel, but Nightmare Balloon Boy was actually the only initial canon character from the Halloween DLC to FNAF 4. Since then, people like Jacko Chica, Nightmare Mangle, Nightmare Yon have appeared in other canon FNAF games like UCN and FNAF VR, but it's just very interesting that Nightmare Balloon Boy was the only one from the original game that was canon. A sister location Easter egg that I didn't really know about at first was that Yendo can actually spawn in the Funtime Auditorium. I made a mistake in one of my previous videos, the top 30 characters I want to see in FNAF AR. I said Yendo wasn't canon, and a lot of people pointed that out in the comments. I'm sorry. This is probably my favorite sister location Easter egg. Again, I haven't gotten this one, but I've seen other people get it, and it's a very nice one. One of the strangest thing about the FNAF 3 game mode in FNAF VR is that the only phantoms that were cut were Phantom Chica and Phantom Puppet. It's very strange because Phantom Puppet was one of the most iconic phantoms, I think, and Phantom Chica was a Fnaf1 animatronic phantom, which I think Steel Wool could have pulled off really easily. It's just really strange how two of the most iconic and easiest phantoms would be cut. As I said earlier, Freddy and Bonnie each took only 1 day to model, but if you look at the Nightmare animatronics, each one of those took at least 2 weeks to model. So excluding recolored characters like Nightmare and the Jackos, Scott spent at least 18 weeks modeling the Nightmare animatronics. A nice little Easter egg to the first 3 games that not a lot of people talk about is that on Halloween, FNAF's offices 1, 2, and 3 change. They have pumpkins, a few lights. It's just really neat how this happens. I've actually never seen this before because I've never played FNAF on Halloween. It's nothing too big. It's just nice that these other games do that. Ultimate Custom Night had a lot of characters in it, and one of the cut characters was Adventure Endo 01. It's very specific, very strange, but he was cut from the final roster to make room for Withered Bonnie and Withered Chica. I'm glad that he was cut for them because, you know, Endo 01 is a cool character and all, but Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie are just a lot more iconic to me, and I like them more, and I think a lot of people feel that same way. In FNAF 1, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all were made at the same time, but Scott had trouble with the 4th character in Pirate Scope. He was considering the options of a beaver, a wolf, and then a fox. So think about it, Foxy was almost not Foxy, he was almost a wolf, and he was almost a beaver, which I don't think FNAF would ever be the same. Of course, both of these characters made it in eventually, L-Chip being the beaver and Twisted Wolf being the wolf, but FNAF would probably be a lot different if Foxy was replaced with a wolf or a beaver. The final sister location Easter egg that I'm going to talk about in this video is that Bidybab can sometimes spawn in your house. It's really creepy, and again, I haven't seen this one. This one is probably one of the most creepy, and I didn't even know about this one until I was doing research for this video. A lot of people don't actually know what Yendo stands for, but it actually stands for Yellow Endoskeleton, which means a lot of people believe that there was probably a Funtime Fredbear at some point. The only argument I really see to that is that some people say that Yendo stands for Yellow Eyes Endoskeleton, which, if you didn't know, Yendo has yellow eyes, so that's why some people think he's named Yendo. If you want my opinion, I don't know. And for the final fact of the day, we have that Freddy in Space 3 is confirmed to be happening. When Scott donated to Daco's charity stream, he announced that he would probably be doing a Freddy in Space 3, which is, you know, I have mixed feelings about that. But honestly, if it's just a new FNAF game, I'm glad that more are being made. So that was 20 facts about FNAF that you probably didn't know. first fact I'm going to list on here is actually a newer one. It's that Withered Bonnie's eyes actually used to be green. On the lures, they're blue, and just the overall design is blue, but for some reason when he was first put into the game, he had green eyes. They've been fixed now to what they're supposed to be. I don't know why this was a thing at first, but it is. His eyes were only green when he was charging at you and in the workshop, but outside of there, every time you see Withered Bonnie, he had blue eyes. I don't know why this was a thing, but it was, and it is a FNAF fact. That's a fact. The second FNAF fact I have for you guys is that Minarina can actually spawn in the control module in Sister Location. Yeah, if you didn't know, Sister Location is littered with Biddy Bab and Minarina Easter eggs. If you look at my previous video, I covered most of the Biddy Bab ones over there, and this one's going to cover most of the Minarina ones. These Easter eggs are really cool, and this is just one of them. I haven't seen this one, obviously. I haven't seen many of the Sister Location Easter eggs, but this one's probably one of my favorites that I've seen. And yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting fact overall. This next fact actually comes from FNAF World. I actually don't think I covered any FNAF World facts in my previous video, but there are actually quite a few. One very interesting one is about Nightmare Mangle. If you didn't know, there was an update 2 to the game, including all the FNAF 4 Halloween DLC characters. Every character like the Jackos, Nightmare Yon, Nightmare BB, they're all there, except for Nightmare Mangle. All the other Nightmare animatronics are there, I'm pretty sure, and so is every single FNAF character up to that point. Even the obscure ones like the Endoskeletons and Shadow Freddy and JJ, they're all there. It's only Nightmare Mangle. It's very interesting to know this because I actually don't know why, and I don't think Scott's ever commented on this either. One of the most interesting things about Nightmare Freddy is the Freddles that are on him. There's 3 little tiny Freddys that I guess live on Freddy. I don't know, like, you know, what the story is there, but it wasn't actually Scott who named Freddles Freddles. It was actually the community. Scott called them Mini Freddys, but I think Scott kind of liked the Freddles name, so he kind of adopted that name for them. It's really interesting. I think he confirmed this in a post on Reddit. I'm not sure. I remember seeing it somewhere. It's just really interesting how this happened. Again, I wasn't kidding when I said these are useless. This literally serves no purpose to your life whatsoever. But hey, I do think these are pretty interesting. As I think we're all aware, in the original FNAF 2 mode in FNAF VR, the Withers weren't there. It was only the toy animatronics, and that was it. It was really surprising to see Withered Foxy there, only that wasn't Withered Foxy. That was actually only Fnaf1 Foxy. I actually didn't know that for like 6 months after the game launched until the Withered update came out. They did replace him eventually, but for a while it was only Fnaf1 Foxy there. I don't know why this was the case. Like, they should have just waited to add him when they finished modeling him. But hey, you know, they fixed it, it's fine, it doesn't really matter anymore. The FNAF 4 box is one of the longest going mysteries in all of FNAF, but a lot of people don't know is that it was actually originally going to be opened in the FNAF 4 Halloween update. For whatever reason it wasn't, and it hasn't been opened since. People just kind of forget it exists at this point. But I just find it really interesting that he ultimately decided not to, and hasn't brought it up since then. Since we were just talking about the box, I thought I'd go ahead and list the other fact I have for it, and that's that it was actually originally going to be opened in FNAF World. There's a texture in the files for an open FNAF 4 box. I'll put the picture up on screen. It's really interesting. I find it really interesting that this was cut yet again, and this was actually the last time we heard from it in the games. And to be perfectly honest, this could be the last time we ever hear from it, ever in general. Another pretty cool FNAF VR fact is that Minarina can actually appear in the Nightmare Balloon Boy minigame. It can appear in some of the doors sometimes. I've actually seen this one. It's a pretty interesting one, and it furthers the idea that FNAF 4 and Sister Location are connected. I mean, we already knew that through Sister Location's private room, but I guess this just kind of cements it even more. And yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I know I covered most of the Biddy Bab Easter eggs in the last video, but there's actually one more I forgot to cover. Biddy Bab can spawn in the elevator and in your house when you get home to Sister Location, but there's one more place he can spawn. He can actually spawn in the circus control when the power goes out and he can appear behind the glass. Again, I didn't even know about this until I started doing research for this video. I love all these Sister Location Easter eggs that Scott's added in. I haven't even heard of most of them until just recently, but this one's pretty cool. A Fnaf 2 fact not a lot of people know, or commonly misconstrue, is that Mangle's name is Toy Foxy. That's actually not the case. Mangle's name is actually Funtime Foxy. It would make sense if it was named Toy Foxy, because it's the toy version of Foxy, and we have Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, so it would just make sense. But in FNAF World, we got to see Mangle's complete form, and it was named Funtime Foxy. So yeah, canonically, there are two Funtime Foxies, one from Sister Location, and then the fixed version from FNAF 2. It's really strange how this is the case, and it isn't just called Toy Foxy, but Scott named it that, and that's just the way it is. You can call it Toy Foxy if you want to, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just a fact. I think a lot of people know this, but there's actually a few FNAF 3 Easter eggs that I actually forgot to cover in the last video. One of them being is that the posters around the FNAF 3 location can sometimes change to a Spring Bonnie poster. It's very interesting. It's kind of like those rare screens from FNAF 1 when those crying children show up on the posters in the hallway, and also kind of like how the Freddy poster in Cam 1B, 2B, something like that, changes into Golden Freddy. It's really interesting how Springtrap has posters in FNAF 3 that's changed. I actually didn't know this until I read the Freddy files. There probably are more FNAF Easter eggs in FNAF 3, but I'll probably save those for part 3 if I do one. An interesting and very useless fact about Nightmare Mangle is that the eye from Mangle that's empty and Nightmare Mangle's eye that's empty are actually swapped. The regular Mangle is missing her left eye, and Nightmare Mangle is missing her right eye. Don't know why Scott did this, and it doesn't even matter, and you didn't need to know that, but I told you anyways, and now you know, so yeah. If you remember in part 1 of this video, I mentioned that Freddy and Bonnie took 1 day to model. Freddy actually took 2, I didn't do the research I probably should have. I was just going off memory on that one. But Freddy took 2 days, Bonnie took 1 day, and the Nightmares took 2 weeks each. But Springtrap actually took 1 week. That's very interesting, because I thought he would have taken at least twice as long as the Nightmare animatronics, but hey, what do you know? I think it's pretty interesting, and it shows that modeling the FNAF characters really doesn't take a long time. I think it's mostly the game design that's really the hard part of making a FNAF game. An interesting fact about Ultimate Custom Night, and actually the only Ultimate Custom Night fact on this list, is that Bonnie and Foxy were actually the last 2 characters to be programmed into the game. To think that JJ, Toy Freddy, Withered Chica, all the Nightmare characters, Jacko Chica, all these characters made it in before Bonnie and Foxy. It's really interesting how Scott chose to do those 2 last. I mean, I guess, yeah, it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't really even, you know, affect your knowledge in any way, but it is a useless fact. An interesting fact about Chocolate Bonnie is that he's actually the only FNAF character with 3 buttons. Every single other FNAF character with buttons only has 2. Orville has 2 buttons, Mr. Hippo, Toy Freddy, Withered Freddy, Phantom Freddy, Shadow Freddy, Funtime Freddy. They all have 2 buttons instead of 3. I don't know why this is the case, and it's not even important. It's just really strange how there's only 1 character with 3 buttons. Out of all the characters who have buttons, Chocolate Bonnie's the only one with 3. Bon Bon and Bonnet have 1, but there's never been a character with only 3 buttons. Chocolate Bonnie's the first one, and they're quite colorful buttons at that. An interesting fact about the control module, and another sister location fact, is that on night 5 when the Enid mask leaves, there's a chance that a Lolbit mask will spawn in its place. I've actually never seen this one. It's a pretty cool Easter egg, and it shows that Lolbit is canon in some way. I guess there really isn't a canon or not canon anymore. I don't even really care either. I just really like this Easter egg. It's a really cool one. It's one of my favorites, like the Endo one, and yeah, I think this is a really cool Easter egg. Do you remember a few facts ago when I said that that was going to be the only Ultimate Custom Night fact? Well, I lied. There's actually one more, and that's that Dee Dee's name in FNAF Ultimate Custom Night is actually XOR. I guess I should say Shadow Dee Dee, because normal Dee Dee is Dee Dee, but the shadow version of Dee Dee, the gray, depressed looking one, that one is named XOR. Scott confirmed this in the interview with Dawko. I don't know why he named it XOR. It's not Zor. It's not pronounced Zor. It's just XOR. Kind of like a Shadow Bonnie RWQFSFASXC situation where they pronounce it with just a string of letters. Again, Scott can do whatever he wants. It's just kind of weird. I know I've talked about Fnaf VR, but I actually didn't talk about Curse of Fredbear. This is the only Curse of Fredbear fact on this list. And yes, I do mean that this time. If you didn't know, when you go to the win screen where you open your present, there's 3 posters that spawn behind you. If all 3 of these are a clown poster, and you put arrows on them, on all 3, you get a sign of "It's me," and it's very creepy. I've actually never seen 3 clown posters. MatPat thinks this is fake from Game Theory. I actually don't know if this is a true fact, but it's something that happened in the community. I guess something like that could be faked, but I don't really see why you would do that. Now, this is just getting into a whole debate about that, but let's just move on to the last 2 facts. The final sister location fact, I think, there might be more, but I'm pretty sure this is the final one of the sister location Easter eggs, and if you remember, Bidybab can spawn in your house at the end of each night, but so can Minarina. Minarina can spawn on the opposite side of Bidybab, which is very interesting how they follow you home. Again, nothing really to note here, it's just kind of creepy, especially with the lighting and everything. The final fact I have for you guys today is the Fnaf anniversary teasers. If you remember on FNAF's anniversary a few years ago, Scott was teasing FNAF 6. A lot of people say that the only 2 teasers we got was that teaser at the end of the Freddy files and then the baby on FNAF World, but that's actually not true. In the anniversary teasers in the bottom left screen of Funtime Freddy, Circus Baby, and Springtrap, we actually got teasers of the designs of the FNAF 6 characters. I think this is pretty interesting and a lot of people overlook these. I actually didn't know about these until a year later when Scott released the other anniversary teaser and I went back and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Alright, that was 20 FNAF facts you probably didn't know about FNAF. Even if you did know them, I think they're pretty interesting. Kicking it off is a fact from FNAF VR, and a fact that I didn't even know about until last night. In the FNAF 3 mode on FNAF VR, there's a very rare chance that the coffee mug from Desolate Hope can spawn on your office desk. I knew there were a few Easter eggs in the last video, like of course I mentioned the Minarina one and the Plush Trap minigame, but I never knew just how many Easter eggs FNAF VR has. And if you didn't know about the FNAF VR Easter eggs, buckle in because there's gonna be a lot more coming. Another useless fact that really is useless unlike the last one, but also kind of interesting, is that Ennard is constantly missing one of his eyebrows. I don't know what it is, but originally in Sister Location he was missing one of his eyebrows, in the Ultimate Custom Night roster when it was first unveiled he was missing one of his eyebrows, and in FNAF VR he was missing one of his eyebrows. I'm pretty sure in most of the games where this was a problem they were fixed, but it's just really interesting and really kind of useless at the same time, you know, it's not that important, it's just really strange. In the last video, I said that it was really strange that Nightmare Mangle was the only character up to the point of FNAF 4 that wasn't in FNAF World. JJ, the Endoskeletons, all the Jackos, they were all there, and I said that every single character was there except Nightmare Mangle, but that's actually not true. There was one other character that was absent, he was from FNAF 2, and that's Withered Freddy. I don't know why Scott decided to cut him from FNAF World. It's just really strange how he got all the obscure characters like the Shadows, even JJ for crying out loud, the Paper Pals even, but skipping Withered Freddy. It just seemed really strange. I guess we'll never really get a clear answer as to why. Maybe Scott just forgot, which is what I'd be willing to bet, but we just don't know. Like I said earlier, there's going to be quite a few FNAF VR facts on this list, and here's another one. It's the fact that Helpy can spawn in FNAF 2. It's really strange how in all the game modes that they could have chosen, they decided to spawn Helpy in FNAF 2. They could have put him in FNAF Sister Location in the Funtime Foxy level, or in Vent Repair or something, but no, it's just really strange how he's in FNAF 2 of all places. I don't know about you guys, but this is the first time I've heard about these FNAF VR Easter eggs. Tell me if this is your first time hearing about them in the comments, because I actually didn't know about these until last night. And I gotta say, I'm really glad that Will added these in. I like these FNAF VR Easter eggs a lot. Ultimate Custom Night is one of the strangest FNAF games of all time. Not just because of the lore, but it was the first time in FNAF's development that Scott was actually open with the fanbase, taking in their ideas, basically letting them help craft the game. It was really cool. It was a wonderful way to show just how far FNAF had come up to that point. Of course, it's gone a lot farther now. But at that point, it was just really cool to see Scott open up and just talk to his fans a lot more. Ultimate Custom Night had a very rocky development, though. Things were kind of moving fast and then kind of moving slow. It kind of went back and forth in that paced, and the release date moved a total of 3 separate times. Originally, it was August 8th, then it was July 8th, then it was June 29th, and then the game released on June 27th. It's definitely the FNAF game to have its release date moved the most times, and it wasn't even pushed back, it was pushed forward. It was really strange, but hey, it was good to get the game like 3 months before it was originally supposed to come out. While we're on the subject of Ultimate Custom Night, let's talk about 3 of the most obscure Easter eggs in that game. It's very rare, but there's an extremely small chance when you start up a night that sitting on your desk there can either be Adventure Tangle, Adventure White Rabbit, or this little weed thing. I forgot what they were called, but they were enemies in FNAF World. They were really cool Easter eggs. I actually never found any of these guys in the game, and I've played Ultimate Custom Night probably a lot more than I'd want to admit. But hey, I really like these Easter eggs, and I'm really excited that I might find them someday. As I mentioned in the last video, the Freddos weren't originally named by Scott. They were originally named Mini Freddys, and then Scott adopted the name Freddos because it just stuck better, and I think everyone liked it overall. Like the Freddos, it's really similar with Golden Freddy. He was originally named Yellow Freddy in FNAF 1, but Scott decided to change it to Golden Freddy when everyone started calling him that, and by FNAF 2 it was official. I'm pretty sure Markiplier started it. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. Personally, I do like Golden Freddy a lot better, and I'm glad Scott decided to change it. As we all know, Ultimate Custom Night had a lot of voice acting. You had some returning voice actors like Heather Masters for Baby and Scrap Baby, as well as Amber Lee Connors to return to voice Toy Chica from FNAF World. There were a few characters though who were planned to have voices, but they ultimately got cut. The most notable being Freddy, and as well as Toy Bonnie. Both of these characters both got voices in FNAF AR, which is really interesting. I'm really curious if their voices would have been the same at all in Ultimate Custom Night. But hey, it doesn't really matter anymore. At least they eventually got voices. Going back to FNAF VR, an Endo 02 skeleton can also spawn in the FNAF 2 office. It's extremely rare, just like Helpy and the coffee mug. We know the drill at this point, but this is probably my favorite one so far. From what I know, all 3 of these Easter eggs stay the whole night. I don't think they just appear and disappear sometimes, but this was probably my favorite one. It's the fully modeled Endo 02 skeleton. It's really interesting how he doesn't appear in the gallery. Same with the coffee mug too. You'd think if they spent all that time modeling, you'd think they would at least show up in the gallery. I guess they really wanted these to stay as Easter eggs, and I can really respect Steelwolf for that. All in all, this is my favorite Easter egg so far in FNAF VR. Let's move on to the next fact. If you've ever played FNAF 4 at any point in your life, I'm sure you've wondered what the pictures in the bedroom and basically all throughout the house look like. Now, surprise, surprise, these pictures have zero lore relevance whatsoever. I always found it kind of strange how back in FNAF 4's early days, when people thought that these pictures meant something, they don't. Scott mentioned that one of the pictures he used was a picture of a mountain when he was a truck driver in Texas. Another one was a snowman him and his sons built. I don't know about you guys, but I was really happy to finally find out what these pictures were. A FNAF 2 Easter egg I didn't even know about until recording this video is that sometimes when the puppet goes out to kill you, if you go to the camera in the main hall, you can sometimes catch glimpses of him. He doesn't like move down the hall or anything, he just kind of fades in and out on the camera. It's really strange. I really like this one though. Of course I haven't seen it, I didn't even know about it until last night. But hey, I gotta admit, this is a pretty cool FNAF Easter egg. If you've ever wondered why Bonnie's guitar was changed in FNAF VR, or why it was cut from the console ports, it was actually because that guitar is copyrighted. That's right, Scott doesn't actually own that guitar. It kinda sucks because I really like that guitar, but what I'm really wondering is why can Funko and McFarlane make toys out of this guitar if Scott doesn't own it? It's very strange. I don't know like what the legal things on this is. I don't want to get those companies in trouble, but it's like, are they allowed to do that? I don't know. Bonnie's new guitar is pretty cool as well, but I kind of miss the old one, and I really wish Scott could get the rights to that, but hey, you guys, And now for the final FNAF VR Easter egg on this list, is that Bitty Bab can sometimes spawn in the baby level in the FNAF 4 house. It's really cool, it's really strange, and I really like that Steel Wool added this in. Again, one of my favorite Easter eggs of all time. This Easter egg is really cool. I don't know if I like it as much as the Coffee or Ender 2 Easter egg, or maybe even Helpy. Hey though, this Easter egg is still just as cool as all the other ones. I love all these Easter eggs that Steel Wool added in, it really adds to the game a lot. Let's move on to the next fact. The Ultimate Custom Night office was a really cool office in my opinion, one of my favorites definitely. It brought in elements from all the other offices. It had the FNAF 2 desk, it had the doors from FNAF 1, even though they weren't the exact same, they were still doors. It brought in the mounted Freddy suit from FNAF 3, and it brought in the posters from the alley from FNAF 6, and a few random things from Sister Location like the gas tank, and a few Sister Location posters as well. But Scott did forget to add in something from FNAF 4, and when he realized his mistake, he added in the FNAF 4 phone on the desk in the back. What's really funny is I'm pretty sure he found this out in Dawko's video, because I know I didn't really notice that at first, but Dawko uploaded a video about the office, I think the day of or the day after it was announced on Scott Games, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why Scott added it in, so very useless FNAF fact, but hey, that's what this video is for. If you ever wonder why the FNAF 2 menu music is different from the remastered version than from the original, it's actually because, once again, Scott doesn't own the original music. I'll go ahead and play it for you guys real quick so you can hear the difference. Now, as I'm sure you can tell, the remastered version plays the Curse of Fredbear music, which honestly I have no problem with it. Curse of Fredbear is probably my favorite FNAF soundtrack. This scenario falls similar to the guitar fact with Bonnie, in that Scott doesn't own it, so when he remade them for consoles and remastered versions on mobile and stuff, he had to take it out. Now, as we all know, foxes have tails, but for some reason, Foxy in the FNAF games doesn't have a tail. There's only one, or I guess two, foxes that in the entire series that have a tail, and that's Funtime Foxy and Molten. Foxy, Mangle, Phantom Foxy, Withered Foxy, Rockstar Foxy, all of these foxes didn't have tails. Well, I guess if you really squinted at it, Mangle could have had a tail based on FNAF World, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm talking about Mangle, not Fixed Mangle. Pfft. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you guys, this fact is really dumb, but at this point I was really trying to get desperate, I was really running out of facts, and we're trying to wrap up this video, so I'm sorry this fact was kind of stupid. If you know about the lore of Ultimate Custom Night at all, I'm sure you've heard of the one you shouldn't have killed. A lot of people say the voice lines in the game, like Nightmare Freddy, Withered Chica, Mangle, mentioning this weird figure, the one you shouldn't have killed. Anyways, that face that appears in the game is the one you shouldn't have killed, and that's actually Scott's son. Again, I shouldn't be surprised because with FNAF 4, Scott said he uses a lot of the pictures that he has for convenience for his games, but this picture is just really creepy. Scott did a good job of making his kid look very scary. As we all know, the trash in the game came back for Ultimate Custom Night. Mr. Can-Do, Number 1 Crate, and Bucket Bob appeared as the actual people on the roster, but Mr. Hugs' appearance was kind of more subtle. He was in the Toy Freddy game, Five Nights with Mr. Hugs, and he was also in one of the hallways. However, there was one member of the trash gang that was cut, and that was unfortunately Pan Stan. Pan Stan doesn't appear in any cutscenes, any Easter eggs in the hallway, nothing like that. He's just completely cut from the game. It's very strange how they would add 4 other characters, but not the last one. It's just kind of frustrating to me. But yeah, to be honest, Pan Stan was kind of my least favorite anyway, not to be mean or anything. An interesting thing about the voices in Ultimate Custom Night is that there were some actors that played multiple characters. For example, the person who voices Mr. Hippo also voices Funtime Foxy and Rockstar Foxy. It's amazing that some of these actors are able to do this. They sound so different and so much better. There are a few more examples, but I guess we'll just save that for another day. Alright guys, this is it. This is the final fact. For now, anyways. Fact number 60. 3 parts. I've saved the best and most useless fact for last. This fact will leave you with no lasting emotion. This fact is the most useless fact I could possibly think of. If we go to the Ultimate Custom Night section in the Freddy Files Updated Edition, and you look in the hallway, and Nightmare Bonnie's icon. That's actually his action figure. Yeah, I'm not joking. That picture of Nightmare Bonnie is actually the Funko action figure face. I have no idea why they decided to do that, and it doesn't even matter. Who really cares, honestly? But that is the most useless fact I can think of. The first fact kicking off the final useless FNAF facts video is that Molten Freddy's eye color between Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night actually changes. In Molten Freddy's debut game FNAF 6, his eye color was red, but for some reason when Ultimate Custom Night rolled around, his eye color was changed to yellow. This is something I actually didn't notice for years until actually a few weeks ago. FNAF 3 was actually the first game in the entire series to have an extras menu. Since FNAF 3 didn't have a custom night, Scott decided to add an extras menu where you could see the animatronics, activate cheats, things like that. On the extras menu, every single character that appeared in the game appears in the extras menu except for one. It's odd because Phantom Mangle is the only Phantom that's cut from the extras menu. Every single Phantom, Phantom BB, Puppet, Freddy, Foxy, Chica, they're all here, but Mangle isn't. It gets even more weird when you realize that there's enough slots, there's 7 for the 6 Phantoms in Springtrap, but for some reason Springtrap gets 2. Personally, I don't find the mediocre melodies all that interesting. It's nothing against them, I just don't really find them interesting. However, there is one Easter egg that I find pretty interesting, and that's the fact that they have Fnaf1 Endoskeletons. You can mostly tell in the jump scares in Ultimate Custom Night. For a brief second, you can see the Endoskeletons' teeth, and they match identically to the Fnaf1 Endoskeletons. As we all know, in FNAF VR, there's a huge Showtime button in the game that does absolutely nothing. Interestingly though, there's a button way out of bounds of the hub world that is called End Showtime. Since the Showtime song is in the files, and the button was pushed out of bounds and not deleted, I'm pretty sure that this was a last minute decision to cut Showtime. As we all know, in FNAF 2 and FNAF Ultimate Custom Night, we never see the full body of JJ. Since we never see anything besides JJ's face, it makes sense that JJ has no arms or legs. It makes sense because it would just be a waste of time to model those if no one would see him, but it's pretty funny to see just this floating head and body in the files. I don't know if JJ had a full body in FNAF 2, but it's 100% that in Ultimate Custom Night she didn't, and I think that's pretty funny. Withered Bonnie, I think, is one of the most interesting animatronics in the entire series. He's the only one missing a face and an entire arm, and this alone makes him stand out from the rest. We've never actually seen Withered Bonnie's face before though, and I've always wondered if it had whiskers or not. I think you can figure it out though. If you take the Nightmare Bonnie and Withered Bonnie, there's actually a lot of similarities, like the withering on their left hand and right foot. Also the fact that the Withered animatronics and Nightmare animatronics don't have any elbow pads or knee pads. Because of the similarities, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Withered Bonnie probably did have whiskers. In the last video, I brought up the coffee pot Easter egg that can sometimes spawn in FNAF VR's FNAF 3 remakes. But apparently it can spawn somewhere else in the game. If you go to the prize corner, on very rare occasions, the coffee pot Easter egg will be sitting on the floor. This really reminds me of the Helpy one. There's no way to make it appear, it just spawns sometimes. I don't know if I like this one as better as the FNAF 3 one because it's more hidden, but it's still a pretty cool Easter egg. As we all know, eye color is somewhat important in the FNAF lore, whether you're talking about Baby or whoever. Every single FNAF character seems to have a staple eye color. Freddy's usually is blue, Chica's usually is pink, Bonnie's usually is purple, and Foxy's is usually yellow. However, only one of these characters keeps their primary eye color throughout every single iteration of animatronic, and that is Foxy. All of the Freddys have blue eyes except for Nightmare Freddy, who has orange. The Bonnies are honestly all over the place. Rockstar and Toy have green, and then the regular Bonnie has purple. Withered Bonnie has red, so they're just all over the place, really. Chica, Withered Chica, and Funtime Chica have pink/purple eyes, but Toy Chica has blue, so that breaks the chain there. But every single iteration of Foxy in FNAF has yellow/orange eyes. Fnaf1 Foxy, Mangle, Withered Foxy, Funtime Foxy, Nightmare Foxy, Rockstar Foxy, you name it. By the way, I just got done editing this video and realized that the Phantoms all have gray eyes. I don't count the Phantoms, guys. Just forget they ever existed. Just don't. On the subject of Foxy animatronics, I noticed something really weird about Mangle in Ultimate Custom Night. For some reason, in her jump scare, you can't see her endoskeleton teeth, but in FNAF 2, you can. I don't really know why this would be the case. Maybe he lost Mangle's model somehow and had to redo the head or something. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments. I noticed this and I just thought it was really strange. I looked at other characters in Ultimate Custom Night and their jump scares. Every other character seems to be normal, so I don't really know what's going on here. Tell me in the comments if you guys notice anything else strange like this. In the entire series, Nightmare Chica is the only animatronic with 3 sets of teeth. Yep, that's it. That's the entire fact. Every other animatronic has 2 or 1. Jacko Chica's the only one with 2. I meant 3, whatever. This next one I find pretty interesting. I don't see that many people talking about this, and that's the fact that Security Breach may be VR compatible. If it is VR compatible, I'm definitely playing it in VR. Maybe I'll play it both ways, I don't know yet. I found a video that does a pretty good job of explaining it. I'll leave it in the description below if you want to find out more about this. Also, tell me in the comments if you guys are going to play it in VR or non-VR. I'm really curious to see. I think I'm going to play it VR for my first time and then non-VR for my second. I just really like VR games, and I think FNAF VR was really good, and I'm really excited for Security Breach as well. I don't know if this next one is intentional or not on Scott's part, but in Ultimate Custom Night, we can actually pinpoint when each character was programmed into the game. It's pretty funny because Golden Freddy was actually the very first character programmed into the game. If you take this from a lore perspective, it actually makes a lot of sense, and just a cool Easter egg, I thought. I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed these Fazbear Fright books we've been getting here recently. Between updates in games like AR and big news like Security Breach, it's nice to get these little books that you can just read just for fun. I'm currently reading the 3rd book, which was 1:35 AM. I really enjoyed the first 2 stories, the one with Ella and the Minarinas. I'm moving on to the 3rd one now. I'm kind of getting off topic here. All I'm gonna say is if you see these in a store and you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend you do so. They're really good. I honestly prefer them more than the actual Silver Eyes trilogy. Originally, there were only going to be 5 books confirmed by the Steam post by Scott in the Mega thread back in 2018. Recently though, we got the announcement that 2 more books were coming, books 6 and 7. I'm really excited that we're getting more of these. Hopefully we can get at least 10. Personally, I'm really enjoying these Fazbear Fright books, and we'll see how many there are in a few years from now. There's 12 months in a year, and almost every single month has had a FNAF game release. The only 3 months of the year to not have a FNAF game release is February, April, and September. FNAF 1 was released in August, FNAF 2 November, FNAF 3 March, FNAF 4 July, Sister Location October, FNAF World January, FNAF 6 in December, FNAF VR in May, and FNAF AR in November. It's very possible we could be seeing a September release for Security Breach. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Then that would leave just April and February with no FNAF game releases. As I'm sure we all know, Scott Cawthon isn't very proud of FNAF World. He tries to sweep it under the rug and pretend it never existed, but it did, and it's honestly one of my favorite games. I don't know why he doesn't like it. Although most fans have grown to appreciate it nowadays, back then it had a very mixed reaction, almost a negative one. There were a lot of bugs and glitches, and because of this, Scott decided to pull it from mobile devices entirely, and it hasn't returned since. A lot of people say that the first time we hear Springtrap talk is FNAF 6, but this actually isn't true. In FNAF 3, he mumbles one phrase that's actually kind of chilling. Some people may know about this, but this actually isn't something I found out until a few weeks ago. The phone call from FNAF 1 is actually in FNAF 4. It's replayed and the audio's a little bit switched up, but it's there. I doubt this has any lore significance. I'll play a clip from a video I'll leave in the description, basically explaining it.
Let's check it out.
I wanted to report a message for you.
Sounds familiar.
You can settle down your first.
Recently, the FNAF Reddit reached 100k members. That's really impressive for an indie game like FNAF. Yep, that's it. It's a useless fact video, what'd you expect? Something I found quite interesting is that Nightmare Eon's voice from Ultimate Custom Night is actually the only one to return in FNAF VR. Characters like Foxy and Toy Freddy's voices returned in AR, but in VR's Nightmare Eon's was the only one kept for some reason. Iconic voices like Mangle, Nightmare Fredbear, Foxy, and Toy Freddy, which I've already mentioned, were cut, and I have no idea why they decided to keep Nightmare Eon's voice in. So here we are, the final useless FNAF fact I'll ever discuss on this channel. 80 facts later, we are finally at the end. The final useless FNAF fact of this entire series is that there's a FNAF ride in development. Listen, I've been a FNAF fan for almost 5 years, and I did not hear about this FNAF ride basically until like 3 weeks ago. And if I didn't hear about it for that long, I'm sure as heck that there's at least some people out there who didn't know about this. I'm gonna give the basic details, but basically there's a FNAF ride in development. I'll put more details in the description below, maybe I'll link a video. This ride has been under construction for a long time. It hasn't really even started building, I don't think. I don't know that much details on it, guys, I'm sorry. I'll link a video, I promise, with more details if you want to find out more. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and supporting this series. I hope those people who wanted a part 4 are satisfied. Please don't ask for a part 5, it's not coming. Maybe someday. It'll be at least a year before I continue this series back up, just because I'm honestly out of facts to give.